What is up, Sigman here? We are with our first playoff recording after the long Easter weekend. I feel like I've caught the sun, to be honest. I can just look at my face. The weather has been nice. A lot of sociable times for us to watch basketball. Probably one of the best weekends you can get if you're a European fan of the game.
Yeah.
We have got my partners in crime. We've got House Lasku, the reigning champ, and we've got Bray to talk about the games over the weekend. The first game we're going to start with is the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Big upset here in game one. The Timberwolves end up taking it. Convincingly, actually, they won by 13 in the end. They were able to hold off the Grizzlies' fight back, and they had an exceptional performance by a second-year player that I didn't currently believe in. My mind has obviously been changed. That's Anthony Edwards. Big game from Cat, 29-13. But yeah, mainly we wanted to be free for people to talk about what they want to talk about. Ed, I know you were itching to talk about this.
Two things. Firstly, who said it was an upset? Secondly, I think you were doing the Grizzlies there a little bit of injustice. I don't think the scoreline is reflective of what happened. I think it was very, very close near the end. I don't think the scoreline says it compared to when you see some of the other box scores where a team won by 20 points when it was a blowout compared to this. So as you're saying on Anthony Edwards, what a game he had. At the start, it was mainly jump shots. He kept on doing some sort of step back mid ranges, and I'm not the biggest fan of those shots. But he said in his post match press conference that that's not a bad shot for me. I can make those. And I'm like, cool, fair play, cool. Again, I'm still not the biggest fan, but go for it. And whilst watching the first half, I was like, he could be driving a bit more. He could be going to the free throw line a bit more and sort of causing the Memphis defense a bit more issues in the paint, which then started to happen. He had 8 free throws, making all 8 later on in the game. And it just felt he had an outstanding game, scoring from all 3 levels of the court, and really impressed. He also got himself quite a few assists with minimal turnovers, which was great for this Minnesota Timberwolves team. And it's looking very, very promising. Although, as we would love to say, let's not overreact to one game. But I'm really pleased with what the Timberwolves did against Memphis. Saying that, Ja Morant had some really, really good moments. He was on fire. Just when he really wanted to, just drove to the basket, got a layup. Drove to the basket, got a layup. But then when he does come off the court, you can see then that Memphis teamwork going in, that ball movement, making those correct plays is really interesting, seeing the differences between the team, which we've seen throughout the season, but seeing how that plays off in the playoffs as well. But yeah, I'm optimistic. about the Timberwolves. They were my 3rd pick after I picked Denver in the 2nd round. So yeah, not too shabby.
I think one thing I will say about the Grizzlies that it's super interesting is obviously the record with and without Ja. They know how to play without him, and the fact that you've said that Ja coming out of the game, they're out of rhythm, is a really interesting point. I don't think there's too much to talk about in terms of what this means for the series, because I expect the Grizzlies to respond. One thing that the Grizzlies don't have experience in is that being the higher seed, so there is a bit more pressure on them to obviously move on to the next round. The big thing for me in this game one was Jaren Jackson Jr. He's been in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, but he got in a lot of foul troubles for this game, especially on the offensive end. So he's going to be super important for them in terms of protecting the rim, spacing the floor, and actually just being generally productive. That is my main takeaway. I think if Triple J has a good game too, Grizzlies win.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I feel like there's 3 key matchups. It's Ja versus D'Lo, and Ja's got that every single time. And versus oh my God, who's the shooting guard?
Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane. And I think Ant's probably got that, especially showing out the way he has in these last 2 games that have really mattered. And then the last one is Jaren Jackson versus Cat, and Jaren Jackson's got to do better. He does make a lot of fouls though, so he could be in foul trouble a lot. He was in a lot of games in the regular season. But one thing I think they do need to adjust as well is Steven Adams. Not a great game from him. 0 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Didn't take any shots. Didn't make any shots in 24 minutes. It was a bit of a weird one from him. And I'd like to see them go smaller and kind of match the Cat center line a bit more.
Also, a big difference from Cat from what happened in the play-in.
Yeah,
he turned up. He was the player that we wanted him to be, and he really showed out. This could be a huge opportunity for him. And another thing which is super interesting, talk about the alpha on that team. It looks like Edwards has just got the ball by the horns. And if Cat is okay, and I think he is, with being the number 2 guy on that, he can be a really good number 2 option. You've also got Beasley, who's a massive threat for the Timberwolves. Pat Bev, you know what he's going to bring. What do we guys think? What do we think the prediction for this series?
Before that, a couple of things I just want to touch on that you mentioned. Alex from Triple J. I remember watching the games. He got quite a few blocks. I'm just double checking. He got 7 blocks out of the Grizzlies' 8 blocks in that game. He was protecting the paint really, really well. Of course, he did get into foul trouble a bit later, but he was doing a really good job of protecting the rim and coming out of nowhere, swatting shots away. Secondly, on Anthony Edwards being number 1 and number 2, he's mentioned before that it is Cat's team, and I respect that humbleness to be like, this is still Cat's team, and Cat has started to show that little bit of bite, let's say, which, yeah, I mean, some people like it because he was a lot more passive back in the day. We all know the Jimmy Butler stories, etc., but he is showing a lot more personality and a lot more energy and a lot more bite, which is nice to see for him, and fair play to him. And maybe it is the Patrick Beverley effect. Maybe it is having that bit more confidence in his game. Now, in terms of the rest of the series, Memphis is still going to win a couple games. I'm going to say Timberwolves in 6. Oh, also, that was the other thing. On Steven Adams, I don't mind the fact that he doesn't take any shots because that's not his role. His role is to play defense, be a leader, sort of deter people at the rim a little bit, but I know it has its limits at time. I didn't mind it too much. And I think he's the highest paid player on the team as well, but yeah, completely get what you mean, bro.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they're like, obviously most of their guys on rookie contracts. So that doesn't matter at all. I think it's just so much harder playing 4 on 5. Like if whoever's got Steven Adams is going, I don't care about you. I don't care about you. He's only looking at Jar, and that makes Jar's job so much harder. Jar needs to be able to get his efficiently and make sure everyone else is in the game. And if he's got an offensive 0 on the team, then it's not helping him. I reckon I will get.
Sorry, I was just quickly going to say I was just double checking the Grizzlies' salaries. So Steven Adams is on 17 million a year. Then in second place, it's Dylan Brooks on 12. And then everyone else is below 10 mil a year annual salary. They're placing
mad. But yeah, they've got a strong future. I underestimated Timberwolves. I don't think they had the kind of grit that you mentioned that we saw at Cat, and obviously Ant stepping up in a big way. And clearly they do. And I think they could probably make this go 5 or 6. I'm going to go Memphis in 6. I think this is the kind of wake up call they needed. They've been coasting a bit. They haven't played in a little while, and I think they might. I really want to see him come out and step on some throats. Like,
well, if Jar's about that action like he is with his Instagram post, which he's just put out now about the Jordan audio clip. I don't know if you've seen it, Ed. About trash talking when you're up instead of just a level score. Another really cool thing from this game was Karl Anthony Towns' dad with Ja Morant interacting in the court side. I thought that was really cool moment. But I think interesting series. Definitely one that was previewed as like very tasty, and it's lived up to the billing so far. So yeah, we'll see what happens.